Greetings, everybody. It's Jim. As you can see behind me, the setup's changed a little bit. Maybe not as much for the fantasy trip, but on my second shelf here, you can see there's chess pieces up there. And the thing is, I'm going to be doing another video about what's moved in and what's moved out of my gaming library because I have that rule. Has to fit on 3 shelves, and that's it. Everything else is something's got to go. Something's got to give. But I'll be doing a video of that later on. Another few videos I might just to experiment with is playing a few videos of just me playing chess. None of those, nothing really long, but then again, nothing really, really short like those bullet games that take a minute that you see online. I'm not going to do anything that fast. So that is my weakness, is moving fast. I'm not that great at blitz chess. I'm much better at the longer ones where I have time to think. Otherwise, it's analysis paralysis all the way. But speaking of moving fast, I've always wanted to do Car Wars races, okay? Now, I promised you I was going to do a scenario report, and today I am absolutely doing that, but I wanted to get the best of both worlds and find out and finally experiment with having a race in Car Wars as much as an arena battle, because one of the parts about Car Wars I always liked was the idea of dual track, that little expansion where they actually have gas powered cars and they go much faster. And but I always worried about, can you actually have a race with that kind of stuff? And is the game going to be done in one lap, really, when you start activating the weapons and stuff? Well, we're going to find out. So today I am going to be going over with you my scenario report for Car Wars Classic. All right, everybody, here we have the high-tech fuel refining arena all set up and ready to go. And basically, as you can see on the right-hand side there, I do have some nice little cards that I've made up for each of the racers. I found out that I'm doing these here. I have the little symbols I got offline. I wish I would have known the person that actually did those. I don't know if anybody's ever gotten credit for it, but they were completely handy, especially when you got a little Photoshop skill like I do. Here's my Photoshop. And one thing I can do is I made a template for this. So all I have to do is, if I want to change the power plant, for instance, in the middle of the car there, I can just say change it from a super to a large. Not a problem. I have to adjust it a little bit. But, that's basically all I have to do. Now, the thing is, I'm looking at the sheet there now, and I know that there was a few things that I found out that this is supposed to have everything you need and none of the stuff you don't need. Okay. And one of the things that it does need is weight. That actually matters. But people for a guy to say this, but size doesn't matter. Not in Car Wars anyway. It's the weight that matters. So, but nonetheless, I'm pretty happy with it. Instead of doing dots for the armor, I just say /30, how much do you have left? It's a lot easier, especially when you're working with either grease pencils or, dry erase markers on a plexiglass, because it just doesn't do the fine tuning too much. There was a lot of problems with that not a lot of problems, but just it's not as clear sometimes when you're trying to do it with the tires, the little dots on the tires there. They're too small. You just don't get that refinement. So my templates work. It's just that it would be better not to have them on a dry erase board necessarily. The dry erase board, though, for wargaming on this stuff, the dry erase on the wargaming plexiglass works real well for writing in things like the current speed or anything else that has to change on a consistent basis. And if I actually did have to use it for any of the dots on the tires, I'd rather actually use a grease pencil than a dry erase marker, because it just slides off too easy. Luckily, everything was on the right-hand side. I didn't have any problems with it because my hands aren't around it. But, when you're surrounded by 6 players, if you're playing with a whole bunch of guys, that's going to happen. But anyway, here we go. Now, the thing is, I wanted to have this as a race as much as I did a battle. Okay, so I had to adjust the rules. Not that I knew what was going to happen, but that was half the fun of this anyway. It's a 3-lap race, which seems a little bit, I was wondering, is this going to make this a long game? And it did make it kind of long. It was 60 turns, right? But at the same time, it's about 20 turns a lap. And it's not so much after a while, because cars start getting eliminated and everything. And then it only turns down to 2 or 3, circling the racetrack like Jonathan E. in the old Rollerball movie. But anyway, we're going through first, and here we go. The first turn. Now, they're all starting from here's turn 3 already. And they're starting from 0. Okay, I decided to do that instead of the NASCAR thing where they're already starting at like 50 miles an hour. One, because they're already going to be going up to a bank anyway, right off the bat, and you're going to be turning. And I learned real quick that my estimation of how fast I can go around these turns is absolutely nil. My inexperience caused a lot of crashes in this game, but I had a lot of fun even when the weapons weren't activated. Now, that's one of the things I just didn't tell you, by the way. The weapons only activate every bank except for that first one. Okay, starting with the second bank, the first car to reach that activates its weapons. All right, and everybody else is just going to scramble to get to the next bank, and that one will. So there's a little race between the races. Okay, and that might be a way to make it really interesting. So there's a little bit of a race in the game already, even if it never ends up being a very big race. It could be a big scrum once everybody starts getting activated. But let's keep going and see how things go. Now, it seems like it's real simple. They all have the same acceleration. They're only going 5 more miles an hour, and they're all hitting it. And then on turn 6, whoop, everything changes because you don't want to move into everybody. The people that are they're all going the same they're all going the same speed, so they're all moving at the same time. But then it gets changed by the people with the better handling getting to choose who goes first. That made a lot of chaos in this turn right off the bat. So that was kind of cool. I like that idea. It switches things up, and it's kind of one of the things why in NASCAR they also go two abreast. I think right at the beginning. Of course, they don't have weapons on their cars, so we already got an idea of who's going to get the first weapon. It's going to be this yellow guy, orange guy in the front. Just because it's really close actually, but I mean, they're going at the same speed, so it's not like anything can change unless somebody spins out. Now I'm going to move myself big fat head over here. Now the orange car does get it, and lo and behold, they have a flaming oil jet in the back. Now, it's about the flaming oil jet, by the way. I'm using oil markers here. There are flaming oil jet markers, and that is in the Arena book. Okay, not the Arena box set, the Arena book, which they did reprint. Now, unfortunately, and I don't know if this is true or not, maybe they forgot to send them, maybe not. They have these new counters in all of the new Car Wars. Okay, they have new car replicate counters. However, in the Arena book, there's counters on the back for flaming oil and a whole bunch of other things that I would have loved to have had. I mean, they're still there. They're just the cutout version, right? They're not the same as the ones that I've got. I was hoping they would replicate those as well. I don't know if they didn't send them to me or they just did not make them. It's never too late, but I don't know if they're really going to. The promotion for Car Wars is already done, which is a shame. But anyway, the oil slick starts, and then the fun begins right in the middle, and then he turns it off later on because I want it to be set on automatic, but he already took care of the bank. Everybody's going to go around it. It looks like so. Turn it off for right now, and then just keep on. Now turn it back on into the big stretch here. And one thing I learned it is better to just go through an oil slick if you can go straight through it rather than try to maneuver around it. Because if you try to maneuver around it and you don't, and you clip one, you're going to be doing the maneuver and the oil slick difficulty rating at the same time, which is of course, just a big disaster waiting to happen. But luckily everybody made it through. But you could see that people are trying to avoid each other. Oh, one guy did do a side swipe against the wall there, the little hot shot in the side there, the white. You'll see the white car there. And he took a little side swipe, and it's pretty effective at slowing him down to a little degree. One of the things I like about Car Wars, at least the classic edition, is so accurate. It feels accurate anyway, as far as how slow they go once they hit a wall or hit another car when they collide. Side swipes are not so deadly. Okay, everything else is pretty terrible. Side swipe's not so bad. You can keep moving, keep in the game with a side swipe. But it is a great way to maneuver if you guys got to nudge somebody, you're running out of weapons or you're out of weapons. That's a great way to possibly knock somebody for a loop out of the game. So now we're still going here. I'll move my head over here. And so he spun out. That is somebody spun out over here, and I believe it was the white car again. So now our orange car here has got a big lead in front of everybody, not a surprise. And the question is, can he hold on to it? And because they're all at the same acceleration rate, the answer is going to be yes. Now, I did make a stipulation that you can't fire through the grandstands at all, obviously, but anything else you can fire across. Okay, there's no real barriers or anything. You got to stay on the track though, but you can shoot across the track. Now, I always wondered, have you ever seen a movie called Robot Jocks? And they're having these big battles with these big mechs, right? And there's crowds in the stands. It's like, and then one of the mechs falls on top of everybody. I'm like, why would you buy a ticket to that? So I've got to wonder what these people are doing in the grandstands here, because there's high tech in Car Wars, but not so much that I think that would protect anybody from a big race like that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, that's all right. Maybe they explain it somehow. But anyway, and one has already crashed and rolled their car around this big bank over here, trying to get through everything. And that is the green car. That is the Joseph Special. Just rolled. No real damage to it. Just rolled on its right side, and now it's out. Simple as that. You can lose your car. You can have all the armor in the world. If you roll your car, it is such a devastating thing. That is why even little side swipes seem to be effective, because why shoot at it all day long when you could just nudge it and then nudge it out of existence? So that was interesting, the tactic that I seen there. So now they're still going, and lo and behold, the guy in the lead swipes out that bank right there. I totally misjudged that. He was going like 60 miles an hour or something like that into that bank. And one thing I didn't know about a bank is it actually gives you a bonus to your control rolls. I didn't know that at the time. So this got really deadly real quick. So now it's only turn 21 and we are two cars down with four left to go. Of course, that made the game a little bit quicker to run. So I didn't complain too much about that. This is definitely a game, by the way, Car Wars Classic, where you definitely need a judge. You could probably self-educate, you could self-do it with the Car Wars Classic. What word was I thinking of? I don't care. But basically, a Car Wars Classic is something you could do on your own, probably. But in Car Wars Classic, there are a few things, usually having to do with spinouts and multiple collisions, where you got to have somebody in there kind of taking charge, say, okay, this is what this is what that is, and what have you. It just makes things a little bit quicker. So here we go. We're still going, and now the purple car crashes headfirst because he's got a ram plate right in, and he's on fire, by the way, into the little red car there. I wish I could remember their names of which was what right here. I can't really see it as close, but he does have a ram plate, and I wanted to see it used. And actually, I think he ended up taking more damage than the other guy, because it was a head-on collision for him, while the other guy got hit in the side, and I just think he had enough armor to withstand it. And so that was interesting what happened there. So we're down to 3 cars left. Okay, so I think that I think that other car got taken out. Yes, that car from that crash did get taken out. I take that back. Let's move my big head here again. So here we go, and now it's getting interesting, because there's only 3 cars left. One of them is in the far back. They just spun out earlier, and they've been trying the entire time to just kind of maneuver slowly to avoid other cars and stuff like that, so it can get back. And it's moving like at a 5 or 10 miles an hour this entire time. So it's now actually 2 cars up here and the one back here. So let's keep going and see what's going on here. Now, the one yellow car did have a hard time and did end up crashing itself into the wall. Didn't die off. It was a small hit, but he's going to have to reverse. And while that's happening, the purple car is just going off on its own, and we just keep on going. And finally, the white car is getting up to the yellow car, and it's taken forever. And then they finally get into it. They do a little bit of action there, firing at each other, one after the other, just at that one point. Well, the purple car is happily just avoiding it all, saying, good, I'm coming around to you guys where I could normally get attacked, and you guys are attacking each other. I'm happy with that. So let's just keep on going. And of course, the yellow car is really having a hard time, but he's got missiles. And right now, it's really a battle of second and third place, not really first place. It's not likely they're going to catch up to that purple car as much. So they wanted to see what can happen. But I wanted to keep going because I'm like, well, second or third is going to be a big deal. So they keep on going, and I think the yellow car is the Capricorn, and the Capricorn has a. Let me see if I've got that here. I believe it had a missile. Yes, it had a missile launcher, but it only had so many missiles to shoot. Now the thing is that I've learned about Car Wars is you lose one out of every all those big squares that you see, the big squares of 9 squares, that's one car length, okay? And for every 4 of those, you get a -1. So right now he's only getting a -2, but a lot of these things fire on a 6 or a 7, hit on 2 dice. So that turns into a significant disadvantage after a while. And of course it doesn't help if you're not seeing the guy. So now he's the orange, yellow's getting. I mean, the white's getting, the hot shot's getting away, and the Capricorn's just trying to shoot it. Doesn't really want to because it doesn't want to waste its last 2 missiles. So it's trying to catch up again. But in this game, it's really hard to catch up to somebody when you're going to have the same acceleration rate. And the purple car is just going around, and it's going to lap them actually. And this is going to be the last 10 turns here. And at this point, the hot shot actually spun out again and got knocked out. So now we have the yellow car and the purple car, and it comes down to the yellow car. The Capricorn still has something to fire. Is going to take one last shot because the purple car. I wish I would remember its name. I apologize. But it had back armor. The back armor of it was not the greatest, and he's just figuring maybe if I could take a shot, or I think maybe even try to ram it and would take care of it. But unfortunately, the way things work, it went right, like boom, he just went right around him. Missed, because of his speed and the purple car speed. They just went right past by each other. The shooting didn't work. He tried to take a few shots with his a few shots there, and then the big one here was making sure the purple car did not screw up this last bank and just take it in. And that was about it. 60 turns later, and I can definitely say I had a lot of fun with this scenario. So 60 turns in, and I can definitely tell you I learned a lot by playing the game. One of them is I'm definitely glad I got a wargaming table over here with the plexiglass all set aside so I can play 5 turns, come back to work, play 5 turns, go get something to eat, etc., etc. Leaves it undisturbed, mainly because in that race, especially something like that, there were some tedious parts, and it's more palatable when you just do a few turns at a time. There were some parts where there were 3 cars and they just moving, but not really firing at each other. But that's okay. It's a simulation to me. Doesn't mind going through that. I can't go through it all day long, but I can take a few turns here and there and just wait it out. That doesn't bug me at all. Now, would it bug other players? It probably would. When you say you want to play some Car Wars, they're expecting to blow something up. Okay, you can't assume that everybody is a simulationist, maybe like yourself, or maybe you're not. I know I am, and if that's what I wanted to do, that's why I went through all 60 turns. I could have easily said, "Hey, I will just say the purple car won at one point and said just call it a day." But I wanted to see how everything else worked. Now, another thing I would do is the next time I play a race, I would definitely use dual track cars, racing cars, because they have the slick tires and better handling, so they can go around the turns a little bit faster, or just handle them at all, and just go fast. Now, the thing is that doesn't necessarily mean the game ends quicker, because actually, if all those cars were to survive, I mean, the game would have been a lot longer, actually. But that's how I would have preferred it, if I did it again. And another thing is that weapons are not necessarily, as far as races go, as effective as just spinning somebody out. Spinning somebody out and hitting a wall and stuff like that was more effective than any weapons, Now, mind you, if you're going only 30 miles an hour or less, like you do in regular, maybe arena battles, I don't see people going too fast there. You might skid, you might move around, and you might hit a wall, and even if you did, it doesn't do that much damage, as opposed to the complete disaster that happens once you hit 60 miles an hour or more in Car Wars and fail a control roll. So there's a lot to that, and I think I would definitely play it again. So I definitely enjoy this. I hope you enjoyed the rendition of what I did here, and I'll see you next video.